I
Yes,
like
yes, yes. I thought I'll add that into the mix, Jimmy. Everyone, it is From the Margins with Jimmy Alphonse. I'm your co host, David Washington. Jimmy, how are you? Good to see you.
it's great to be seen. Like my grandfather said, the day they don't see me, I have something to worry about.
Oh,
So
indeed.
you're seeing me, that's fine. So I'm going to start today's program a little bit different. I'm going to start with a question to you, David. You asked a question in the last broadcast. Would it be a great day for JD Vance if he was to go to Pakistan and work out a peace deal? That would help his increment his chances to be a candidate for the president. I told you I did not know, but I did not underestimate Rubio. He was the Secretary of State. He was everything else, and he was not invited to go to discuss this. It was J.D. Vance's show to survive or flop. So, this is my question to you. Since J.D. Vance has such a horrible week, and let me tell you why I say this. He went to Iran. They didn't respect him and the people there, and they basically uh, agreed to meet with other people in Pakistan that are not those three. He came back with his head between the tail. He did not accomplish anything. He did nothing. But before he went to Pakistan, he went to Hungary. He endorsed Orban. He said that's the guy. I lost badly. Some people joke that the visit by J.D. Vance was the final nail in the coffin for Orban. So I can't say that's true because I'm not an expert in Hungary's politics, but I can say number-wise, he was whipped. Okay, just like Christy Moore in a puck. Okay, if that was not good enough, we have a other issue that it was I find kind of interesting. The President of the United States decided to get into a war with the Pope. Dumb of his part. And I thought, well, you really want to be that dumb? You want to really piss off the Catholics to the point that if they were debating to vote against you, you insulted their leader, their spiritual leader. That was kind of dumb. Call him weak on crime, but he doesn't deal with crime. He's a Pope. He, an economy. He's not an economist. He's a pope. Preachers are not economists and they don't deal with crime. But you know, that's the way he insults people. So he said, "Well, I'm going to insult the pope the same way." Well, it doesn't make sense. But okay. But when J.D. Vance decides to go on national TV and say that the pope should be careful with his expressions on theology, not on politics, but on theology, uh, yes. Look, those of us who study law know that the law of what's called a just war, war does not meet it. By no stretch of the imagination, we were not attacked directly. We were not in imminent danger. And for the record, because we have not been able to enumerate a reason to make it just, because we've been all over the world. It's for this, it's for that, it's for so that under the classification is not. But to get into a fight with the Pope, JD Vance. So my question is going to be to you, a little bit different. Do you think that these flops of this last week has affected the ability of the president of of the vice president of the United States, JD Vance, to become the nominee?
Mm, wow. Okay. It's a lot to unpack there. I'll answer the question first. Um, I think that the polish on a JD Vance presidency has worn off over the last several weeks. Um, I think that he is not MAGA enough for MAGA and to possibly carry on the Trump legacy. Um, Thus, enter maybe a presidential ticket of Rubio and DeSantis or DeSantis Rubio? Who knows? That's been floated amongst the supporters of the Trump administration. So to answer that, you know, question directly, that's where I stand with JD Vance. Now, there's a lot to unpack there, Jimmy, and I'll break it down those three things. JD Vance going to um, support Orban in Hungary, and now we know what the result is. It's an overwhelming defeat of Orban by his once protege, Peter Magyar, who is now the prime minister elect, which is curious because Magyar campaigned to the right of Orban, and he has taken stronger stances than Orban, like for immigration. I mean, he's recently stated, "Oh, we're done. Oh, we're this is to the chagrin of the EU. We're like, we're not doing that. We're not no open borders here. We're going to shut it down." Also, because of their rules, his seat or the Hungary seat in the EU will go vacant because he's going to focus on being the prime minister and also a minister having a seat in the Hungary parliament, if I have that correctly, leaving that seat in the EU vacant. So I'm not, I'm not too confident about whether or not this was a big loss for Iran. Even for JD Vance and the administration supporting but it is what it is, and we'll see how this plays out. And who knows? Orban may be a candidate to take over for Vanderleer when that presidency of the EU comes up. That would be a stroke of genius for the Trump campaign.
You really think that they pulled that one off? I don't think so.
And it's out there. You never know. It's out there. It's always a possibility.
The rest of the Europeans will never vote him in. Let's put it this way. It's not that he could get the position by because he wants it. He would have to be voted in. And I don't think he's to the right of what he campaigned on. And I think this is the things that I've been telling the Democrats and everybody else. The truth of what he campaigned on was how corrupt Obama was. His number one issue was he's corrupt. He's selling to the Russians. He's selling to this. He's doing that. And you have to understand that the people in Hungary were oppressed by Russia for many years. And being friendly with Russia is not something that most Hungarians agree on. So, but the thing that his main issue in his campaign was how corrupt Obama was. And he was. There was no doubt. But the question is, because the Trump administration favor him, if you think that he's going to say, okay, no, I'm just going to forgive you, come over here, embrace me, and we're all cool, I don't see that happening. I really don't. I think that the Trump administration is going to pay the price. It's not going to have such a good relationship with Hungary like it had in the past. And for those of you who say, well, who cares? Well, apparently they cared because they sent the vice president there, so there's something there they cared about. But my concern is I think that J.D. Vance's thing with the MAGA people and with the others has suffered, and I think that we are overestimating Rubio. Rubio has one major problem with the MAGA people.
What's that? Because I haven't gotten to Rubio yet, but what's that?
His last name.
I don't know.
Oh, come on. MAGAs have never elected anybody who is Hispanic to be their leader. They have never. He's run for president, and the MAGA people, the whole thing with the MAGA people voting against Marco when he ran in 2016, it was because he was Hispanic.
Yes. However, Rubio has carried the mantle of, Trumpism, across the world. And he has been very straightforward in making sure that people understand, especially internationally, that America's not going to take business as usual. The American system is in place, that the Trump corollary is in place. We're going to take care of the Western Hemisphere. And he is adored by MAGA right now.
He very well is, but is MAGA going to elect as their candidate for president of the United States an Hispanic?
I think MAGA will, if they carry the Trump MAGA mantle. If they carry,
I'm sorry. What is the Trump MAGA? Because I really, from day to day, it changes, and that is a problem that I have. As a matter of fact, right now, some of the MAGA people are not even happy with Trump, and they say he's not MAGA. So I think there's a division there, but that's beside the point. My question to you is this: you really think that if there's a white man running against Rubio, that he will carry on, especially when he has the thing that he has not been 100% supportive of Trump?
And if there is another contender, that person is going to be Ron DeSantis. And now that Ron DeSantis is leaving, termed out, and he has 2 years until 2028, if he has a very successful special session later this month into May here in Florida, I am sure he is at the top of the list to become the next Attorney General for Donald Trump, and thus be able to slide right into that nominee status for president. DeSantis is as, MAGA as MAGA is. And Florida being the template, the test kitchen for a lot of conservatism, school choice. We passed the SAVE Act here in Florida. The crackdown on irregularities in voting. That's pretty much the SAVE Act. Crackdown on immigration, illegal immigration. School choice, like I said. A lot of what MAGA is, DeSantis and Florida Republicans have implemented. So I see a contender for Rubio for the presidential nominee, the GOP presidential nominee. If it's going to be the two of them, it's going to be DeSantis and Rubio.
It's interesting, but can you define for me a successful legislator since he hasn't had one in 2 years? Last year, at the end of the year, they had to come back for a budget, and the budget was a major contention last year. This year is so bad, the relationship he has with the House, he wouldn't even shake the hands of the Speaker. So there is a movement within the Republican Party to redistricting, but there's also a movement in this state among Republicans saying, don't touch it, because if you do, you might screw us over, and it might come back and backfire against us. So let's put it this way. Let's say that, let me take scenario by scenario so we can answer this. If they don't pass a redistricting in Florida, will we say that DeSantis was not successful in his legislative agenda for 2026?
I'm sorry, could you run that past me again? I got the idiot lawnmower man coming.
Okay. Let's say, for the record, that the legislator comes in now in May, passes the budget, which is their constitutional requirement. They have to. Okay, they pass the budget is passed, but they don't pass redistricting. Would that be a successful or unsuccessful for DeSantis?
that would not be successful. In my eyes, it will be disastrous for DeSantis and for the Republicans. This is something that DeSantis has dangled over Florida, over voters for months now. We theoretically know what the map is for the insiders. We know what the map looks like. We have different variations of it become public. It's not rocket science. So if this is not done, he set a date for this to happen. If this is not done, people are disappointed with that property tax amendment, constitutional amendment not being created. They're frustrated that the budget hasn't been created. And if this redistricting doesn't happen, it's not good for DeSantis. It's just not.
And yet there is a possibility that that's going to happen. So we have to look. DeSantis was anointed here in Florida by Trump, and he got elected. He's a horrible campaigner. We saw him when he campaigned for president. He was not the best candidate out there. And even though he was supposed to be the front runner, he came from the great state of Texas, of Florida. He was a great MAGA person, and this and that. He passed unnecessary laws. The truth of the matter is, property tax is still in the air, and I don't see it passing. It hasn't passed in 2 years. I don't see it passing right now. I'm sorry, it's not. I don't see the redistricting passing either, because it would really put the Republicans in a vulnerable position. I agree with some of the leadership that is yelling, don't do it because it's not going to work the way you think it's going to work. And it's true. 5 or 6% margin is not going to give them the victory that they want. The third thing is right now, the Florida Republican Party is split. You have 2 candidates for governor, one DeSantis candidate, and the other one, for the record, Donald Trump's. Okay? You have people running for different positions within the Republican Party for nomination. The only person who's running without opposition as a Republican is Mooney for U.S. Senate. Other than that, there is a division. So I don't see a path for DeSantis as much as other people do. And to be quite honest, I'm going to answer and end this with one question. Comes 2028, Marco Rubio versus DeSantis. Come Donald Trump and say, it's Marco Rubio's. What chances does DeSantis have? That's the problem with the Republican Party right now. You're not electing the most qualified person. You're electing who's anointed by Donald Trump. And sometimes he gets it right. I'll give him credit. But sometimes, as a human being, he fucks up. Okay, that's why you lost Georgia. And let's put it this way. The people he endorsed in Georgia were horrible. Herschel Walker had no business being a U.S. senator.
What was that about?
Yeah, but that was about that Donald Trump said that's the guy. That was what it was about. You know, and when you have people following him blindly say, oh, if he says this is the guy, right now you have somebody anointed by Donald Trump for governor, and it's not the one that DeSantis has anointed. Okay, let's call it out. He is not in the good graces with the White House. He ran against Trump. He could be as MAGA as he wants, but unless Trump says this is the guy, he's going nowhere. And we all know that right now Trump has 2 favorites: JD, Marco. Nobody else. DeSantis is not in that picture, in that panorama. So that's why I think that DeSantis could do whatever he wants, but unless Donald Trump says this is the guy, he's not going to. And I'm going to end it with this question. Do you think that the person who's going to run for the Republican nomination of the in 2028 can run without the endorsement? No, let me take it back. Can win the primary without the endorsement of Donald Trump?
No.
The answer to that is no. So
see no.
That is my problem, you know, with the way things are right now. And this is what I'm saying. Look, you asked the question and you made the comment, and that's why I started this way. because it was provoked by you. Hey, JD Vance is going to go to Pakistan, is going to get peace with Iran, and that's going to increase his value. Hey, JD Vance went to Hungary, and Obama's going to win by a large margin. That's going to increase his value. Hey, JD Vance, oh, God, none of that happened. The opposite happened. Does that affect him with Donald Trump? Really, it doesn't. That's the beauty of this. It doesn't at all. Donald Trump is the one with their nose, the farther up his ass. That's the one he likes. That's the reality of life. So, and we have 2 years. God knows what could happen in 2 years with either of them screwing up and being in bad grades with Donald Trump. So that is.
If DeSantis is made Attorney General under Donald Trump in this administration, DeSantis is a former JAG officer, judicial advocate,
and a horrible lawyer, for the record.
However, he will be a good soldier, no pun intended, for Trump. I just see a path for DeSantis if he's in the current administration for the vice presidents. For the presidency. And again, Trump is not done with the DOJ. There's a lot of things that he wants to, weed out as far as corruption, and it will have the DOJ lead that effort. I just see that possibility, and we'll see how that goes. After DeSantis's term is over. Yes, hey, JD, DeSantis, Rubio, they've got 3 solid, potential nominees. I can't.
No, wait a minute. No, they don't.
In what way?
Look,
if you match them up with 3 Democrats, who you got that can match up with those 3? Come on, Joe.
Okay. I'll give you 3. You want 3? Ron Emanuel will win all 3 of them.
I don't know about that. Hey, I remember when Ron Emanuel was mayor of Chicago.
And he took on, and for your information, he's the only Democrat who was taken on the teachers' union and fought them.
Sure, and they're stronger than ever.
Well, that's
he ushered in the Lori Lightfoot, Brandon Johnson, debacle. Ron was not good for Chicago. Not good.
Well, that is debatable, but he. And if you want to talk about debacles, let's talk about Florida. Okay, let's talk. You want to talk about debacles? Woke laws, good. Save Act, no need for it, but it's fucked up everybody, but it's good. Immigration, if it ever goes to the Supreme Court, it's going to flop down because immigration is a federal issue, it's not a state issue. We have Alligator Alcatraz, and we have the bill for us because he did not know how to manage it, and we're going to have that bill for a long time, and we're going to, and that's going to cost the state of Florida. Do we have anything done with our property taxes in the 4 years that he's been here? Has he done anything about our education system other than giving out vouchers? No. Vouchers is not the solution. You see, the problem to this Republican MAGA thing is one little thing is going to fix everything. No. The education system of the state is screwed up. Really, right now, we still, even though we give out vouchers, we're still in the 40s ranking nationwide. We have not increased one step. But if you want to say, hey, the vouchers solved the problem, no. The vouchers made the MAGA people happy. Didn't solve the problem. Okay, do we have any redistricting? No. Have we fixed? We have had no redistricting done as of now. And if it doesn't count, so what? Have we fixed the problem with the homeowners insurance in the state? No. Have we dealt with the problems of our roads in this state? No. Have we dealt with the problems in this state that we have of creation of jobs? Oh, what was the last factory that DeSantis brought to the state? None.
Oh yeah.
What was the last industry that is this state, when he came in, was dependent on tourism?
Yeah.
And who did he fuck with? Tourism.
Yeah.
So when people tell me he's done a great job, no, DeSantis is a great person in selling bullshit. I'm going to ask the question, and we all know the answer. Did Florida, before DeSantis came into order here, being governed by Bush and being governed by Christie and being governed by Scott, was this considered a woke state? Hell no! Hell no! What did he do? He passes an anti-woke law. Really? Right now, he took away all minority businesses for the blacks. Those things are gone because you can't have them. Now they're starting to call them small business, and guess who's benefiting from the small business thing? It's not the African American, the Hispanics, or the women. We know who it is. He's taken away the funding for African American museums and African American libraries, and for Hispanic thing. Has that helped the state of Florida? No. The problem is, this is what he has never done because he can't. What is people hurting about right now? Were they really in such a dire thing because of woke? No. They have a problem with property taxes, which has not been dealt with in the 8 years that he's been there. Okay? So let's stop with this bullshit. He's been there 8 years. This is an 8 year, and we still have the issue with the property tax. We still have the problems with the hurricane insurance. We still have problems that right now, FEMA has told us that if there never a new hurricane comes to the state of Florida again, we're fucked. Has he created a super fund to deal with that? No. Has he done anything to regulation to say, let's see if we can find a regulation to deal with the construction or anything like that? No. The problems that we have in the state are too large for him to try to pretend like he's been the savior of the state, because he hasn't. And that is the problem.
I think Senate 180 2 sessions ago was supposed to help and hurricane recovery. And right now it is being litigated because of its broad use in preventing development, preventing those from limiting development in their communities. It's kind of convoluted. However,
let's put this true. That was passed by a Republican House. That was passed by a Republican Senate, because you can't blame the Democrats on this one, because there's no way you can. The truth of the matter is that we have to understand one thing. You could be MAGA, but that doesn't make you stupid. You could be liberal, that doesn't make you stupid either. The truth of the matter is that we have been developing in this state in areas that we know that they're flood prone. We know that if a hurricane comes in, it's going to be flooded for months to go. We know that we have been developing in areas that are right next to the sea. And then when the sea comes in a hurricane or in a tsunami, we're going, we have created our problems because insurance companies have told us, you can build there, but we're not going to insure there because that's a flood area. And FEMA is not paying flood anymore. So what they did with that project is say, hey, people, you might not want to build where it's going to become a problem for the state of Florida. And what do developers want? They want to develop. And guess what? And I'm going to say this. Normally, liberals are not developers. So if you want to say, this is what I've been saying for a few minutes ago. This is the internal fight of the Republican Party in the state of Florida. The people who are suing are other Republicans. This is a Republican fight. But realistically, other than that, and let me ask you this: has your health insurance gone down in the state of Florida? No. And by the way, that is controlled by the state of Florida. Okay, that is. Has your property taxes gone down? No. Has your your house, your insurance for your house? No. Okay, so has there been any requirements as to your education? Look, still in Florida, you want to talk about education? Let's talk about education. Still in Florida, the law says you do not teach kids cursive. They don't know how to write cursive. They have to have an app to learn that. It's not that you have to, but don't forbid it, is what I'm trying to say. If you don't want to teach it, okay, I can understand that. That's a decision. But when you forbid it, that's kind of stupid. When you say, hey, these are the books that kids could read, look, I'm going to be honest with you. My thing with history is that the history texts in school are based on lies. Okay, are based on lies. But if you're gonna tell me no, you can't read that book, why not? Who are you? I want to read it. I read it. It's in the school. It's there. If I want to read it, I read it. If you tell me you cannot be forced on me, I can live with that. But don't tell me that it cannot be in my library. My freedom of choice is if I want to read that book, it's there. Oh, it's not good for you? Well, that's your opinion, not mine. But it's if you want to talk about freedom. But realistically, I cannot say that DeSantis has done anything that I could say it has improved the state. And I'm a taxpayer of this state for the last 40 years. So I can say whatever I want to say about the state of Florida. He could go fuck himself because he's not done anything good for me. I'm sorry. So when people tell me he will be a great president because he's MAGA, this country right now has a problem with health insurance that's not been dealt by the Congress. The taxes, I really ask you and beg you people to read them. Because basically, yes, if you're making more than $500,000 a year, you get a great tax break. Less than that, it's not that great. And with all due respect, the majority of us are not that rich, that we make that much. So and last but not least, I'm going to ask you all this simple question. Can you afford gasoline to be at $4 for the rest of the year? Like the president said, there's a good chance. And I'm using his words, okay? He says there's a good chance that he was interviewed on Fox and he said that, okay, can you afford to pay the prices of gasoline be $4 a gallon when the people who bring your food to your store have to pay that amount of money and they're going to increase their prices? Can you afford that everything that is in this country is transported via either airplanes, via train, or via truck, which the cost of that petroleum is going up? Can you afford that? And God forbid, and I pray to God that before October of 2026, the price of gasoline, petroleum products, including gas and others, go down. Because I could tell you that there's a lot of places in this country that once winter comes and they tell them that to fill up their tanks, it's going to cost them $3,000 or $4,000. There's going to be a crisis.
But Jimmy, the Straits of Hormuz are open. The war is supposedly over. I saw gas drop below $4 just this morning, and I still want to get to your last two, your potential Democratic nominees for president. But however, the war is for all purposes over. The straits are open, and I saw gas below 4 o'clock. $4 a gallon this morning. It's Saturday, April the 18th.
Okay,
So,
let me clarify something to you.
mhm.
Before the war, the Strait of Hormuz was open. Can we agree on that one?
Yes, we can.
Right now, the United States is blockading that ships from Iran leave with their petroleum to go to China. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
So it's not open. It's semi-open. Okay. Open will be that everybody. That's what I said. It was open before, that everybody is going free on their own way. It's not. And Iran has taken the position itself that if they cannot come out to readdress their willingness of maintaining their side of it open. Look, the war is not over. Nothing has changed. Donald Trump can lie his mouth as much as he wants. The Iranians said, no, we have not agreed to give you your our uraniums. That's bullshit. You're lying about this. The other thing, you're lying about that. He's going to try to lie and say, hey, it's over, so he could get out, because he wants out desperately. He wants out because he knows it's costing him votes, it's costing him sympathy, and he knows the world is laughing at us because we couldn't do the work correctly. We fucked it up. Okay, fine. I understand that. But the truth of the matter is, as long as we're not going to allow the people from Iran send out their petroleum, because it's going to come back to the point, and that's why the prices have not really come down significantly, because they're going to say, oh, I cannot leave. Well, nobody can come through either. That is something that might just happen because of the game that we're playing. And right now, the thing that nobody's saying this is what worries me. Do you know who's Iran's biggest buyer of their oil is?
It would be China, sir.
And how long would China be putting up that the U.S. would not allow their oil to come to them?
Or at least until mid-May, when Trump visits Xi in China. So at least until then. But I don't think it'll be that long.
Gives him a couple of $1 billion, and he reopens it. I understand that, but I'm not sure. First of all, that trip is still up in the air, supposedly.
I think it's pretty much solidified.
But it was solidified for another date, and then he said he might have to change it based on the war. Look, I'm not. This is one. It might not go, but I'm not sure if China is in the position to wait for another 25 or 30 days without any petroleum coming in from Iran. So I would say China has two things it could do. One, it can decide to say, hey, Donald, how much money do you want to reopen? A couple of billion here. Here's a couple of billion. Reopen it, and he puts it. They buy the bitcoins, and he makes his money, and everybody's happy. Okay, that's one option. The other option, and this is something that I really, really defy. This is the one that has already happened. There's a precedent. Is when he said, nobody's going to sell oil to Cuba. If you do, I'm going to take you out. I'm going to give you this and that. Russia just sent the first ship, it unloaded, and the second ship is on its way. And what did he do? Nothing. So this is the other second thing that China could do, which is send their tankers to Iran under their flag, load them up, bring them back, and see if the U.S. has the cojones to stop them. Because that would be an act of war. So when people say, oh, it's not open. If Iran cannot take out its oil, it's not fully open. It's semi-blocked.
I think what the Trump administration is like, hey, China, take your oil, from Iran. However, pay market prices for it. Hey, if Cuba is willing to pay market prices for oil from Russia, so be it. Hey, if they pay Russia for their oil, and we know that Russia is selling oil on the marketplace at market prices. Now that the
Everybody's paying.
sanctions have been
Everybody's paying market price.
right, not necessarily. You said so yourself that Venezuela is being paid, not Venezuela. Um, Iran is being paid in Bitcoin, which has been documented, and avoiding the marketplace for the purchase of their oil. We're just saying, hey, none of that anymore. They're no more paying, $2 million in Bitcoin for, passage through the strait. No more paying for oil on Bitcoin. Paying on the regular market like everyone else.
No. Okay, to Donald Trump. I agree. Look, what the thing I said is that the Chinese could go to Donald Trump and say, "How much money do you want? I'll buy your bitcoins, so you can let the ships come from Iran to China with my petroleum." He says $2 billion. They put it and they buy it. We know he's so corrupt, and he's like, "Fine, that's what I was looking for to get money and all this," and he's got his money. The concern I have is, what if China just says, "I'm sending my ships up there to be loaded under my flag. These are Chinese ships. Block me."
Or they could buy their oil from us. And we have seen 121 oil takers
Do
to America.
Do you know how? Wait a minute. Do you know how wrong you are about that?
About the 121 oil takers coming to our ports for oil? No, that's a true thing. That did happen this week.
Yes, and that will still make our price more expensive, because, and this is the thing that you don't have to understand. This is an offer and demand. This is not like the Americans like to be, "Well, it's my oil, so it's cheaper." Bullshit.
No. I didn't say it was cheaper. They're paying market prices, which is what?
And
$100 something dollars a barrel.
But so would us.
Yes.
So it won't bring our price down.
No.
It will put money in some rich people's pockets, but other than that, it doesn't benefit us. This is what I'm trying to say.
Right. We don't set the price of oil. We just don't. That would be, City of London Incorporated. The banks over there that set the price of
the problem is, of those people who came here to buy oil from us, China was not one. And for the
It's so unnecessary.
That's all right. More work for you to edit tonight. You're going to be editing a lot. But going back, no, look, us selling petroleum to other countries is not going to cut it. What we need to do is understand, look, Saudi Arabia sells to China. These are supposed to be our allies. Now we have abandoned them. We've told them, "Go screw yourself." Qatar, who gave him a beautiful jet, they also sell to China and to all these other countries. Are we going to tell them, "Don't buy from them, buy from us"? Does that benefit us? Not really. I'm sorry.
Just pay the market price. Just pay the market price.
But everybody's paying market price. The problem that I have is right now is that what we need to understand is right now, before the war, the price of gasoline was $2.50 tops. After the war, because it was not planned, thought through, or anybody thought the consequences of what could happen, it's almost at $4, $3.90 something. If that makes you feel good that it's 6 or 7 cents less than $4, okay, I'll accept that. But it's still almost $4. The truth of the matter is that right now, the world is controlled by oil. And the last wars that we've had have all been over oil, including, for those of you who do not know, one of the reasons that Germany went to war and Japan went to war is because they didn't have petroleum. For those of you who did not know it, the biggest client of the United States of foreign oil was Germany. And once they did what they did and we cut them off, they had to. They went into Russia not because they wanted Russia; they wanted Russia's oil.
Mhm.
Everybody said it was stupid to be in two fronts. Well, yes, but they needed oil. That has had more wars going on than anything else. So what I'm trying to say is, right now, it's what needs to be done is basically say, okay, let's completely open the stretch just like it was before. Let the people for Iran sell their oil at market price. I don't have a problem. A free market. Let the people from everybody sell, and let's go back to where we were. Because realistically, right now, antagonizing Iran and saying, hey, but let's reach a settlement is not going to help us.
However, Jimmy, for 47 years, Iran has antagonized us, and they have antagonized the rest of the world. They have been the nexus of terrorism across the globe. They dangled the threat of nuclear annihilation in the Mideast, Israel, and
How?
enough's enough.
Israel has nuclear weapons.
Exactly. And if a nuclear bomb were to be created by Iran and they use it against Israel, there's no way that the world is going to sit by and allow that to happen. America,
America, Trump, that's an hypocrisy. Trump allowed it to happen in North Korea.
No, no, Jimmy, no. North Korea was developing nuclear weapons a long time before
But he
Trump.
didn't do anything to stop them.
He may have not
And
done
don't tell me that North Korea has not antagonized us for years, because they have.
I just don't think they have been sponsors of terror.
Really?
ISIS.
Wait a minute.
The Houthis, Hamas, and Hezbollah. I don't see North Korea being tied to those entities that have killed Americans, that have killed Israelis, that have killed Germans, French, English, so forth and so on. They have had networks across the globe. They're not the threat, the existential threat that the regime in Iran has been for 47 odd years.
You know, you're saying something that you're repeating what you've heard. And let me correct you.
It's what I
you're right.
researched.
No, I've done my research. Trust me.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these people, you are right, have been sponsored. Okay. Can I ask you a question? The militant group that came, that was ISA or something like that. You know what I'm talking about? That took control of all the temples and destroyed the temples, and they were always and with a black flag.
The Muslim Brotherhood?
No.
Oh, wait. How far back are we talking, Jimmy?
5 or 6 years ago.
That were destroying temples or mosques?
Yeah.
At where?
And Iraq and Syria and all that area.
Oh, the United States were dropping bombs all over the.
No. They all were in tons of trucks. They had a black flag.
ISIS? Okay, ISIS. Yes.
Who sponsored ISIS?
Who? I'm sorry. Who? What?
Who sponsored them?
If you want to really know, it's the Mossad and the CIA, but that's a different story, Jimmy.
Yeah, but they did a lot of those killings that you just said.
Mhm.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You are right in your expression. But what you're wrong is you're contributing that to Iran. Did they kill a lot of people? Huh?
Yes. Oh yes. I definitely see Iran as the nexus of terror across the globe.
Yeah. But the problem is that they're not the only ones. We have
Oh,
our
yes.
CIA, our CIA
Oh yes, I agree.
doing these things through these groups, okay? And then a lot of people think, oh, these are the people from Iran. No.
No.
ISIS killed people in Germany. You're so right. ISIS killed people in France. You're so right. But let's make a distinction. These were not sponsored by Iran. The problem is that us Americans, tend to say all ours, we put them together as the same group, just like we put all blacks together, we put all Hispanics together. No. Look, in fairness to everybody, ISIS was the most horrible and most vicious group that there was. They killed indiscriminately, okay? And for the record, half of ISIS was Americans. We don't want to say that, but those are people that were recruited here and they were brought there.
Sure.
They did some horrible things, and for the record, they're not done yet. Then you have the group of bin Laden, which was huge.
Sure.
But was not sponsored by Iran, was sponsored by Saudi Arabia. The funds they got from the bank came from Saudi Arabia. That was proven for the Twin Towers. We know that. Okay. Look, I'm not going to just say that Iran has not done what it's done. It has. Then again, ever since I was a kid and before, the Middle East, these countries have fought one another. Not because they are against each other, it's because we have never educated ourselves to understand that just like the Republican Party has two parts, just like the Democratic Party has two parts, the Muslim has two parts. And these people do not like the others. They're Muslims, but they're different sects.
Sure.
And they fight among each other. And they've done that since before you and I were born. Yes. And the way they do it is different. As a matter of fact, yes, they blow up things, they kill people. Yes. But to say that the only bad actor in the Middle East is Iran is unfair.
The regime.
And it's not only them. Look, with all due respect, that's why we took out in Iraq, because they were the other people of bad faith and were doing horrible things. And by the way, they invaded Iran and they invaded Kuwait. That's, we took them out. And right now, there's some of us who might say that they're not better, and there might be some of us say that they're better. That's up for debate. The truth of the matter is, this is something that I'm going to put it in this terms. Do you really think that Iraq is better now than when we invaded them? The answer to that is no.
Iraq? Oh,
Iraq.
They have self-government. They have.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do, Jimmy. In Iraq, they have universal health care.
Oh, yes, they do. You're right, which we don't. But does that mean that they're better off than we? No. The truth of the matter is, economically, they're not.
I'll do some research in that. However, they are self-governed.
Yeah, and I'll give them about another 10 or 15 years that they won't.
Wow.
And the trouble is, realistically, right now, Syria, they had a revolution. They took out a dictator.
Yes, they did.
Is it really that much better? No.
It's amazing that that a man with a $50 million bounty on his head is now the leader for Syria. And, the Americans went in, Trump went in and said, hey, work with us. And now he's appearing in all these presidential and prime minister,
Yeah,
all
and he's and the people in Syria are not better. Let's stop pretending.
I agree. They're not there yet.
Okay, so when we took out one bad guy and we put another bad guy, and that's the history of the Middle East. I'm sorry, but so realistically, and for the record, the Shah of Iran was the king of Iran.
Yes,
was not a great person either.
that's true. That's very true.
So we took out one bad guy and replaced it with some other bad guys. I understand that. Yeah, and that what I'm trying to say, that's their history. But right now, my prayer is that we can have peace with Iran very soon.
Agreed.
And that
it's possible.
And that we open the thing and we stop pretending the thing with the Iranians and all this, because look, if there's one thing we've learned about these countries is that they're not easily bullied. They're not. And right now, I'm going to start a campaign. We need to get our respect back. The world is laughing at us because we went. It's not that we see. I like the distraction that some people create. They were bad people. We had to do this. We did that. No. We did such a poor job with the most powerful army in the world. Did we obliterate them? There's people in other countries who will tell you we didn't. As a matter of fact, the people in Lebanon, we had to do a peace agreement because they were throwing rockets into Israel.
Yes, that was a separate issue
but what I like is a separate issue, but everybody says that the missiles and the weapons that they were throwing into Israel came from Iran. I thought they came from Lebanon, but whatever. That's a story for another day. But
that's
the truth of the matter is that right now there is a peace, and I hope we can keep that peace. But realistically, the best thing the United States could think of, pull out and go back home and call it a day. Because right now, my concern is not that Iran was a bad country. That's what I call it, the
regime.
The regime. No, that's the excuse over here. My concern is we use the most powerful army in the world.
Military.
And we bombarded. Yes, we took out maybe their navy. And the other day, there was a ship of Iran that was patrolling around there. So I just wonder how, if we did take down their navy, they still have ships. But that's a thing for another day. Did we do anything? Did we do regime change? Well, they have new leaders, but it's the same system is what I'm trying to get to.
Right.
Have the people of Iran been freed? No. Have they revolted? No. They don't have weapons? Well, yes, most countries don't have weapons. And for the record, okay? But I think also the fact that we attacked them, that united them, and because we killed some of their family members, they don't have much sympathy for us either. But that's a story for another day. The best thing we could do is let's go home. But the thing that everybody thought that we had an army that could take them down in 38 or 48 hours and just they would surrender, that didn't happen. And that is where I'm concerned, because the fear that we would put with our armed services, I'm not sure if other countries are realizing that. And that's why I'm concerned that Donald J. Trump he's a great con man. He's one of the best I've ever seen in my life. And I will say that without hesitation. He knows how to bullshit. He knows how to sell you a product that you don't want. But the truth of the matter, he's not a military person. The Secretary of Defense, basically, I serve in the armed services, and I don't think I'm qualified to be the Secretary of Defense. Neither is Hagen. He's not. He's a drunk. I'm sorry. The person we have in the FBI, don't get me started. So what I'm trying to say is, basically at this point, he is the commander-in-chief, but He needs to listen to J.D. Vance, who told him don't go in there. He needs to listen to Rubio, who told him don't go in there. He needs to listen to the generals, who told him that this is not a victory. And he needs to listen to the other CIA, who told us these people are full of lies. So basically, at this point, my recommendation is leave the area. You did the damage that you did. And basically, I think the Iranians got the message. And really, the Iranians, they have screwed more with the people in Europe and in the people in Africa. They really have never directly attacked us here. And for those, again, this is what I'm trying to clarify. 9/11 was not Iran. Osama bin Laden was not from Iran.
That's
He was not sponsored from Iran. And the money and the people who attacked us were all citizens of Saudi Arabia. All of them. Not one of them was from Iran. So, if that makes a distinction to some of you, I hope. If some of you just think, well, they're all Arabs, they're the same to me, that's something you're going to have to deal with. But the truth of the matter is basically, and for the record, when that happened, that was 26 years ago. Of the 47, the regime was only 21 years in place.
Sure.
Can't say it was now. So look, I think he expected them to cave in real quick once he bombarded them, and it didn't happen. So at this point, I would just take my losses, go back home, and do that. And for the record, I would strongly oppose the $2 trillion that they're asking for defense. I would strongly oppose. There's no need right now because we don't need to go to another war unless he's thinking of going to Cuba, which I doubt, because I don't know if you know, but China announced that if he attacks Cuba, they would come to their defense.
And if China attacks Taiwan, will come to Taiwan's defense. I think Cuba's collapsing from within, and I believe that the United States government is having conversations with the Cuban government for a peaceful transition, as we saw in, believe it or not, Venezuela. So I think it's just what's happening in Cuba.
There was no transition in Venezuela. What they did is they reached a commercial agreement, and I respect that, but it's the same government. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, sure, it's the same government, but under different leadership that's cooperating and helping the United States in the illicit oil sales out of Venezuela, in the illicit drug trade, in human trafficking, in the support of terrorism stemming from Venezuela.
Wow. You've had three things you can't prove, but that's good. There's no proof that there was human trafficking. There's no proof that there was drugs. The drugs, let me explain something to you so everybody understands this.
Sure.
Yes, you are right in one aspect. Okay, now I'll give you one aspect. Colombia would put them through Venezuela because it was a shorter distance to get to Honduras, because they were coming from Honduras, and that's why we put Honduras president in jail. Okay, but the drugs are not produced in Venezuela. They were produced in Colombia, and yes, there were some corrupt people in Venezuela who were being paid to look at the other way. I would agree, but to say that they only come from Venezuela is the biggest lie.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that. However, again,
and terrorism, no, that they were selling gasoline to Cuba, yeah, and so was Mexico before, and so were a bunch of other countries. It's nothing illegal to sell petroleum to. But you want to know something that you don't say?
What's that?
The hypocrisy of MAGA. And I had to call them out on this one. Who stopped commercial relations with Cuba?
Oh boy, that's going back to Kennedy, Johnson, right? Oh, wait a second, because Obama did open up relations with Cuba
And we were doing business with Cuba.
Right, with the hopes that Cuba would come around and become more democratic. It never happened. And Trump's like,
no. Stop. I have to stop you there.
It never happened, Jimmy.
Stop, because you're misquoting something. Yes, you're correct of your assertion, but you're full of one thing. Obama did this in 2014.
Okay.
3 years later, Trump ended it.
Correct.
You were expecting everything to be resolved in 3 years. We were working towards it. We were entering into contracts to buy stuff. We were entering into contracts to open businesses there. People were opening businesses there. As a matter of fact, the ARB was down there. Vibro was down there. JetBlue was down there. And who stopped that was called Donald J. Trump, because he was a Republican, and the Cuban Republicans knew, this is what they were afraid of, that they were going to do something similar to what right now Donald Trump, J. Trump, is doing. And this is the problem that I have with the bullshit of the MAGA. Venezuela is still a communist country doing business with us, okay? But when Obama was doing business with Cuba, which was a communist country, it still is, for the record, and I'll say that, that country should have become a democracy in 3 years. I'll guarantee you that Donald Trump is going to be out of office in 2028, and Venezuela is still going to be a communist country. So if you could do in Venezuela, deal with a communist country without any expectations, because there's no expectation right now that Venezuela is ever going to become a democracy. Right. There is none. Okay, period. Let's stop pretending that. Obama opened relationships with Cuba.
Right.
JetBlue was down there. American Airlines was flying down there. I mean, they were doing business. And who stopped that was Donald J. Trump. And the bullshit now is, because they weren't becoming a democracy. Neither is Venezuela. Neither is Russia. Neither is China. Neither is the other countries that we do business with. I'm sorry.
Right. But however, Jimmy, so you say that I agree. Trump, pulled relations, diplomatic relations with Cuba off the table in his first term, correct? If that's the case, right. Okay. If that's the case, there was a vice president who became president who succeeded Trump. And what happened in those 4 years in our relationship with Cuba?
That I can answer. You cannot have it both ways in this one, David. We all know that John Biden was senile.
Now he's senile.
Yeah, that's why you call him Brandon. You know that he didn't do shit about much of anything. So yes, I will accept that my president for 4 years was fucked up. Okay, I will accept that. Okay, but to say that that right now we're trying to get Cuba to be a democracy. We're not expecting China to be a democracy. We're not expecting Russia to be a democracy. We're not expecting North Korea to be a democracy. We're not expecting Venezuela to be a democracy, for Pete's sake.
However, Jimmy, I wouldn't necessarily say that China is a communist country with the American system style of commerce and economy. I think China is far from a pure communist country. And I think we can say the same thing about Russia. Having seen after the fall of the Soviet Union, we've seen many things become privatized.
So wait a minute.
The economy involved.
Hold it. Do not. You don't understand politics if you're saying this, and I have to correct you. Capitalism is not democracy. Okay.
You're right. And I'm talking about the economic system versus the political system. So yes, you're right. So
China does not hold elections.
Right.
Russia does not hold elections. North Korea, hell no. It's not even a capitalism country.
True.
Okay. And we're not trying to do look, You want me to say something about Iran? Iran has a parliament. Iran holds elections. Then you might question their elections. I'll grant you that. But then again, I could question other countries' elections. That goes without saying. But what I'm trying to say is capitalism is one thing. Okay, democracy is something else. I know a lot of countries that are capitalists, but they're not necessarily democracies. And I'll give you another example. Venezuela was selling its oil to everybody. It was doing business with the world. It was selling their products. That's pure capitalism. I'm sorry, it is. Okay. But they were run by, and then you have something that's not even communist. You have dictatorships. And those we have a lot. And we deal with those people too. We have no problem with as a matter of fact, I'll give you this. What's the difference between a king and a dictator? No.
Not really much. A king is ordained by God to serve, to reign.
Okay. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, all those countries that we're very close to, Saudi Arabia, and I can keep going.
Sweet.
We do business with them, and they're dictators, but their capitalism, yeah, they are. I'm not going to try to say that they're not, but to try to say that China is not it's democratic because it does business. I wouldn't go there. I would not go.
I agree, Jimmy. I mean, politically, they are a communist country. That's true. That's very true.
So, but what I'm trying to say, we do business with these communist countries, but all of a sudden we want to do business with Cuba, but they need to become a democracy when we don't have that requirement for anybody else. Look, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Obama opened Cuba, not with the backing of Biden. Okay, that's something that most people do not know. It was not with the backing of Biden. It was with the backing of your former mayor who pushed it when he was chief of staff. He started. Okay. They opened. They had the consulate there. He went down there. JetBlue, American Airlines, ARB was doing business down there. There was cruise ships stopping there, doing business there. They had opened their market to us, and we in exchange had opened our market to that. And that's the only thing I want with other countries, to do business. I believe in the free market. You have something to sell me that I want to buy, I don't give a royal patoot who's the governor of that country. I'm buying it from you. This is a product. Sell it to me. I want to go visit a communist country. I could go to China tomorrow, technically, and people go there all the time. It's a communist country. We all know it. Okay, I could go to a dictatorship. As a matter of fact, when you go to Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and all those other countries, they tell you, be careful. You have to cover your head if you're a woman. You have to do this. Yeah. You know that. So, but you have it. We could do business. The only thing I'm saying is this idea that Cuba, we shouldn't be doing business with it because of something else. No. But I realize we're kind of close to it. So last week, I did not give the fuck up of the week to either party. Oh, and I owe you something. The other two candidates, really, that I would, and this one, the last one is crazy, and you gotta say you gotta be crazy, but I would back him if he wants. The second one that I think that most people are not talking about, and I think would be a great candidate, is the current governor of the great state of Washington. Man has done very good progress. He is in the middle, but he's respected by the left. He knows what to do to get things done. The economy of Washington State is very solvent. As a matter of fact, he has many companies, such as Amazon, such as all the tech companies are in Seattle. We know that. He has Boeing sales up there. I mean, he knows, he has learned how to do business. The third person that I would think would be a good candidate, because he can communicate and he is a good candidate and he could get votes, is Bernie. We tried to push him to the side. We call him a socialist, but he can get himself elected. And if the MAGA wants to go ultra right, hey, why not go ultra left? That would be a great election. Let the people decide right now. Now, with that, the fuck up of the week.
And Bob Ferguson is the current governor of the great state of Washington.
Okay, couldn't remember his name.
Yep.
This is the one thing that I think we need to understand. The fuck up of the week of the Democrats is not understanding one issue. In my county, the election in one city was called a public. The issue was one word: change. It was the old guard versus the new kid on the block. A city commissioner against a former mayor who endorsed the new candidate versus a 8-term school board member, 8-year member of the Orange County Commission. Well established. I like Christine Moore. She's a good friend. But the campaign was about change. Do you want the same or do you want change? Part of the campaign of MAGA was to bring changes to the United States. Unfortunately, Donald Trump is not MAGA. Donald Trump is an opportunistic person who saw the MAGA movement and used it. Or like a pastor told me the other day, which I found fascinating, he realizes that Donald Trump is not a Christian, but he gave him the revocation of Roe versus Wade, and that's all they wanted. And they say that they used Donald Trump, and maybe they did. With that in mind, Democrats, stop criticizing Donald Trump. Stop talking about the people that are horrible in the Republican Party and start talking about change. How we're going to make this country being respected by the rest of the world. How we are going to make this country where everybody can have universal health care. How we can make this country where we're not in perpetrated wars like in the past, and changes for the better. If you could do that, you can win an election. Not criticizing Donald Trump. Nobody likes him, not even the MAGA people. They use him as a change vehicle. Republicans, really? You could support a war in which last Sunday, Easter Sunday, your president used vulgarity in his message, promised to end a civilization, and was asked this week on Fox News if he saw the price of gasoline going down. He realizes that even if we were to open the stretch tomorrow, it will take months for the price to go down, because it will take months for the supplies to be high enough that the prices would come down, because we will be purchasing less oil. This is you have to understand. As long as we're purchasing oil, the price is up. It comes down when supplies are high and demand is low. He said, and I quote, "I hope so, I think so, but I'm not sure." That is your president saying that your price of oil will continue to be high for the next 6 months. And the question was, basically, will it be under $4 by the midterms? And the midterms are in November. And even him knows that that's possibly not true. So the fuck up of the week of the Republicans is to continue to giving you $4 a gallon gas into November of this year. With that, I would ask you to subscribe. Like me, don't like me, say I'm stupid, say that I'm a genius. I don't care. Even those who ask me to run for president, not going to happen. So that too, I will let you know. So for those of you, I will see you all next week. And I enjoyed this today because it was more of an exchange between David and me.
It was enjoyable, Jimmy. Have a great weekend.
You too. And enjoy your vacation.
Thank you.